We just witnessed one of the craziest runs we have ever seen, at least in the last few decades, and we didn't even realize it. After what seemed inevitable, what we all expected did not actually happen. Did we think it could happen? Sure, but did we actually expect it to? Probably not. We just witnessed one of the weirdest, craziest, unexpected, yet hopeful runs we have ever seen. In 2020 and 2021, this is how many 5-stars committed to the University of Michigan. In 2022 and 2023, this is how many 5-stars committed to the University of Michigan. Feels a bit empty, doesn't it? That's because it is. On May 11th, 2019, the number 6 quarterback in the class of 2021 would commit to Michigan. He was a high-profile recruit from the state of Illinois who received offers from Ohio State, LSU, and 32 other schools. His name was J.J. McCarthy. On February 28th, 2021, the number 4 cornerback in the class of 2022 committed to the University of Michigan over the likes of Alabama, Ohio State, and 25 other schools. Now, what does this look like compared to past champions? Let's take a look. 21 5-stars, 21 5-stars, 25 stars, and wait for it, there's Michigan with 2 5-stars. This is something that hasn't been done. Every year, we hear from many people who are deeply invested in the sport how stars don't matter. Yet each champion, since the beginning of the era of the playoff, has picked up at least 1 5-star in each of its recruiting classes, building up to their championship roster. In 2023, however, that didn't happen. Did some people expect this? Sure. But most people didn't actually think this would happen. The Wolverines won with 2 elite recruits. 2. This is something that hasn't been done, and there's a good chance it won't be done again. Let's take a look at the teams that had higher odds preseason of winning the national championship compared to Michigan. The Ohio State Buckeyes, their arch rivals, who had odds of plus 700 of winning it all, had 9 5-stars. 9. The Alabama Crimson Tide, who had the second highest odds of winning the Natty, had 18 5-stars. 18! Lastly, the Bulldogs, the back-to-back champs, who were favored to win it all, had 13 5-stars. 13. Michigan? 2. Now let's take a look at every school that had a 5-star on their roster and see how they finished the year out. I put together a scatter plot detailing how many wins each team had on the x-axis, as well as how many 5-stars were on their roster on the y-axis. As you can see down the bottom right is Michigan. With 2 5-stars and having 15 wins on the year, it looks very odd, as you would think that the champion would be on the top right. Now, who else had only 2 5-stars on their roster last year? As you can see, there are only 2 other teams that had only 2 5-stars on their team. Keep in mind, these rankings come from the 24/7 composite, and I'm only counting them as a 5-star if they came out of high school 5-star and are still in the same team they originally enrolled to, or if they transferred in 24/7 and had them as a 5-star ranking in the transfer portal. Anyways though, Colorado, obviously they only finished with 4 wins last year, with Deion completing his first year as a head coach. Those 2 5-stars were Travis Hunter and Cormani McClain. For North Carolina, they had offensive tackle Zach Rice and defensive lineman Travis Shaw, both in the class of 2022. As for the teams with only 1 5-star on their roster, you've got Florida, TCU, and South Carolina all the way to the left, with each of them only finishing with 5 wins. As for FSU, they had a really good year, only having 1 5-star as well. There's quite a few teams in the middle of the pack, a few notable ones being Texas A&M and Miami, each finishing with 7 wins, but the difference is Miami had 4 5-stars on their team, which is a lot of 5-stars compared to the average team, but A&M having 10 5-stars and only 5 wins is super underwhelming. Then at the top, you've obviously got Bama and Georgia, both who had more 5-stars than the chart could keep track of, but you already knew that. The recruiting and the stars and all that isn't even the craziest metric for the 2023 Michigan team. I'm a big stats guy. I like finding numbers that seem really odd and make you question how we got to that point in the first place. With this Michigan team, the weird numbers just keep coming in. I saw a stat that showed that Michigan had the best turnover margin by a mile compared to every other team in the country. They were winning the turnover battle by a whole turnover and a quarter, 1.27 to be exact. To comparison to some other teams in the country, Oregon sat at 0.79, Alabama at 0.57, Texas at 0.43, Georgia at 0.21, Ohio State negative 0.15. And just in case you were curious, the team with the worst turnover margin in the country was Temple with negative 1.67. At that point, it's like they were just trying to give the ball away. Michigan took care of the ball, didn't let the other team move with the ball, and more often than not, would take that ball right back. Michigan had a team total of 18 interceptions on the year, which is good for third in the country. Mike Sainristil led the team with 6 and took 2 of those back for a touchdown. Will Johnson and Keon Sabb both had a pick 6 as well. They also forced 9 fumbles. On the offensive side of the ball, they only turned it over 8 times all year. This isn't the craziest stat I came across though. Obviously, Michigan winning the turnover margin by that much is absurd, but so is holding your opponents at just 239.7 yards per game. Do you realize how insane that is? And on top of that, they only allowed 9.5 points per game. Obviously, after seeing this, I had to go back and make yet another chart for you guys. It makes it easier to see how this defense has landed against some of the best. Again, going back to the beginning of the playoff era, you can see how they compare to the likes of the 2017 Bama defense, the 2021 Georgia defense, and so on. They were clearly the best, even beating out that 2021 Bulldogs defense that would eventually produce 7 first-round picks. 7! If you don't believe that this Michigan team was, if not anything, weirdly insane, then I'm not sure what to tell you. Now what about this upcoming season? We have seen how this 2023 Michigan team compared to others, both past and present, in terms of recruiting power. How are the teams looking for the 2024 season? I selected the 15 teams with the best odds of winning it all, according to FanDuel, and went through their rosters to see how many 5-stars they currently have on their team. Again, these numbers are only derived from 5-stars out of high school who are still in the team they originally enrolled in, or players who entered the transfer portal with a 5-star transfer portal ranking. Comparing 5-star players only, this is what next year has in store for us, at least for now. Some of these teams are absolutely loaded, some others, not so much. Georgia and Alabama lead the pack, with Ohio State right there behind them. With the 8th best odds of winning a national championship in 2024, Michigan sits with just 1 5-star on their roster. Notre Dame and FSU also have only 1 5-star on their roster. But again, Michigan won it all in 2023 with just 2 5-stars. So this might not mean much, but it's neat to see. Will we see another crazy year in college football? I'd bet so. Will we have another champion who seems like an outsider on paper, but is statistically unmatched? I'm not sure, but we will find out soon. All I know is that the 2023 Michigan football team was something special, and that this will go down as one of the craziest years in college football.